All right, let's talk about Confluence. We're going to break down a really deep expert review to figure out if it's actually the tool your team needs to get organized or if it's just another piece of software creating more noise. So let's kick things off with a number that should honestly make you sit up and pay attention. The experts we're sourcing this from found that only 35% of projects are actually considered successful. I mean, think about that. That's a massive failure rate. So, why? What's the deal? Well, a huge chunk of it comes down to just bad communication and information being scattered all over the place. The experts have a great name for this. They call it a digital junkyard. You know, the place where great ideas and critical info just go to die. And that right there is the core problem, the big mess that tools like Confluence were literally built to solve. It's this overwhelming chaos that so many of us feel in our projects every single day. Just think about your last project for a second. You probably had documents in a shared drive, key decisions were buried somewhere in an email chain, updates were flying by in some chat app, and the meeting notes. Well, good luck finding those, right? When your info is everywhere, the answers you need are basically nowhere. That's project chaos. Okay, so what's Confluence's big idea to fix all this? Well, its whole philosophy, its entire reason for being, is built around one thing, bringing structure to that chaos. Let's see what that actually looks like. And I love the way the review explains this. It's not like Notion, which is more of a flexible, blank notebook where you can do anything. No, Confluence is designed to be a structured library. It has a very specific and kind of strict filing system. So how does it do it? Well, it all boils down to two simple building blocks, spaces and pages. Just think of a space as a big binder for a specific team or project. And inside that binder are all your pages. Those are your individual documents. By using templates for these pages, it forces everyone to be consistent. Okay, structure sounds nice, but let's get real. Is it actually powerful? Can you trust it with your company's sensitive data? And maybe most importantly, what's the actual price tag when all is said and done? Let's dig into what the analysis found. First up, let's talk AI. Atlassian Intelligence, according to the review, is not just some flashy gimmick. It's actually a super practical assistant. It can summarize those ridiculously long documents, it can draft a whole project plan from a simple sentence, and it can find answers for you just by asking a question. And this isn't just a small improvement. We're talking a big deal here. In their tests, the AI summaries literally cut the time it took to get up to speed on a project by around 30%. Just think about that. That's way less time you have to spend in catch-up meetings. But, and this is a huge but from the experts, you have to remember that AI is a helper, not the final authority. You should always, always treat what it gives you as a first draft. A real human expert has to check the facts and sign off on it. You don't want to be the one who publishes something wrong because the AI hallucinated. Okay, on to security. And this is where Confluence really, really flexes its muscles for big companies. It's loaded with all the top-tier certifications you'd expect, SOC 2, ISO 27001, it's GDPR compliant, and it gives you incredibly detailed control over who can see what, right down to a single page. All right, let's talk money, because the analysis makes one thing super clear. That price you see on the website, that's not the whole story. The true cost to actually run this thing is often a lot higher. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway from the review. Whatever you think you're going to pay in license fees, you need to budget an extra 30 to 50% on top of that. That extra cash is going to go to essential apps from their marketplace, things like diagramming tools that you're almost definitely going to need. Okay, so we've got the features, the security, the real cost. How does Confluence actually stack up against the other big names out there? Let's see what the competition looks like. And this table from the analysis really lays it all out, doesn't it? It makes the choice pretty clear. Confluence is the king of structured knowledge, especially if your tech team lives and breathes Jira. Notion, on the other hand, wins for total flexibility. And SharePoint? Well, that's kind of the no-brainer if your company is all in on the Microsoft 365 world. Okay, let's wrap this all up and bring it home. After looking at this entire expert analysis, the big question remains, is Confluence actually the right choice for your team? You know, instead of just talking theory, let's look at what a real user had to say. This quote was from a senior project manager in aerospace and defense, a pretty high-stakes field. They said that the link between Confluence and Jira is their single source of truth. It gives them a perfect, auditable trail from the initial idea all the way to deployment. That's powerful. And that story really brings us to the final verdict from the review, and it's pretty cut and dry. Confluence gets a strong recommendation for big companies in regulated industries like finance or healthcare, and for any software team that's already deep in the Jira world. But if you're a small team that needs to be nimble and flexible, or you just don't have the people to manage a complex tool, you should probably look elsewhere. And hey, let's say you're sold. You're going with Confluence. The experts say, hold on, you've got to follow these 5 steps for it to actually work. And the number one most important step is the first one. Set up rules and pick your admins before you do anything else. If you skip that, you're not building a knowledge library, you're just building that digital junkyard we talked about earlier. So we'll leave you with this last thought. Choosing the right tool isn't really about the cool features or the fancy AI. It's about choosing what kind of discipline you want to bring to your team. So what are you building? A structured, useful library of knowledge? Or just a slightly more organized digital junkyard? The choice is yours.